The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Kristen. I'll be the moderator for today's webinar. If you're new here, Integro does monthly webinars. They're always 30 minutes long and typically occur on the third Thursday of each month. Today we're going to be talking about tackling terabytes, minimize risk and cost with Fileshare cleanup. Our presenter today is John Frost. John has over 25 years of ECM and information governance experience, including information security. He's a former FileNet consultant, IBM technical seller, a worldwide services practice lead for IBM, a certified records manager, and a fellow of ARMA International. So he has a long list of qualifications, and he's more than able to talk about this subject, and we're excited to hear what he has to say. Before I give the mic over to John, I do have a few quick housekeeping notes. First, we recommend that you maximize your screen in the upper right-hand corner. Second, if you have any questions at any time during today's presentation, please ask those in the question box, and John will answer those at the end. And third, just a quick caveat, we do have a StoredIQ user group that will be next week, which is also about Fileshare cleanup, and if you'd like to learn more about that, feel free to send me an email. John, take it away.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you everybody for attending today. Today we're going to tell you a little bit about Integro's IQ Insight. It's a full service offering around Fileshare cleanup, and tell you a little bit more about the planning of that and what it takes to go live with this specific offering. So with that, let's get started. Give me just a minute here. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the goals of IQ Insight. A little bit about the Integro solution value and our methodology behind it, some of the solution options that are available to you, and then a short summary and Q&A. So we're going to be moving pretty quick, given we only have 30 minutes to work. So Fileshare cleanup, it's becoming a hot topic. A lot of companies are wanting to do it now. Over the years, we had Fileshares just balloon and take off, everything from your personal hard drive, which was then transposed into the corporate Fileshare, the M drives, the L drives, as we used to call them, that have become a huge security risk and a haven for information and content in an organization. And now technologies are coming to the fore that can actually help you manage those, clean those up, get the bad stuff out, keep the good stuff, work with the good stuff, and also use this as a stepping stone to plan for such things as Fileshare replacement. So a lot of your goals in the Fileshare cleanup need to be around information security and risk reduction. So securing the tight contents, your IP, things of that nature, PII, PCI, reducing the risk to the organization, enhancing policy audits and regulatory compliance, finding the stuff you need to keep from a retention perspective and holding on to that. Cleaning up the redundant, obsolete, and trivial content, and this type of information. This is just kind of like the junk in the house, but understand that rot is something that is really unique to the organization. Just because bank number one has this type of rot doesn't mean that their competitor, bank number two, has the exact same type of rot. It's kind of like one man's trash is another man's treasure. So we definitely work with you. And trying to discover what is your definition of rot and what are the things you're looking for to get rid of the organization that really have no business regulatory or security value. You're also looking for storage savings. You're looking to free up a lot of the storage that you've invested in over time. And while we were having the conversation today, while purchasing storage, yes, storage is cheap when you purchase it, but you also then have to put resources behind to maintain that storage, to back it up, to keep it going. To manage it, etc. So storage really is not cheap to an organization when you look at the man hours involved in maintaining that. You're also looking for IT agility and move to cloud. So you want to help free things up, take a lot of the burden off of IT and managing the storage, and then potentially plan for Fileshare replacement. So or moving your content to other types of cloud storage. And then you want to find and manage your records in the wild. We all know we have records sitting out there that even if we do have content management systems, we'll have records sitting out there in the wild. They're not being properly governed, and we want to get a hold of those and make sure those are governed efficiently. So how do we address some of your needs? So a lot of customers, when we talk to the customers, they tell us that when we're trying to work on these types of things, they don't necessarily have the people available, they don't have processes, and they need the tools to do it. Well, that's where we come in. We have the skills and the people to help you with that, given the methodology and technology that we use. And we have people with with more than 20 years experience in the enterprise content management and information governance business. So we've been doing this a long time. We also have repeatable processes and methodologies that we can work with you on helping you with this solution. And we have the tools. We can utilize off-the-shelf tools that are configurable and scalable and proven in the industry to help you with your file share cleanup. So kind of a big picture of how this works. So if you look at this as from a planning perspective, what you would look to do really is start with an overall high-level index. So this is an index that really involves metadata only. We do skim the surface, if we will. We're looking for metadata to find and delete, quarantine, and exclude any content from a major index. So this is where you really start finding a lot of your rot information. You do the high-level index of all your file shares. You working with us, your team working with us, we can find the rot relatively quickly. We start getting that out of the picture. Once we get that out of the picture, we start making information sets or info sets, which are snapshots really of the data at a certain point in time. And we make the info set really on what we're looking now to index. So we've gotten rid of the majority of stuff, and now we're starting to as a funnel effect, we're starting to look at regulated data, we're starting to look at records, we're starting to look at PCI, et cetera, and fine-tuning almost like a funnel, fine-tuning that information and that info set down to what we need so that we can act on it. With that, and once we've indexed that smaller percentage, we can do the deeper analysis to start not just reducing the volume, but acting on things that are in the content, finding the records, moving those to a records management system, declaring those records. Anything needed for eDiscovery, moving it to a discovery area. Anything with PCI, PII, coming up with policies and technologies to help you move that out and protect that private information. And then you can use machine learning as part of this to help auto-classify, at minimum, the records, but other contents you may have that need some type of classification. So again, kind of with the funnel effects, you're looking at going after with high-level searches the rot data, right? The redundant, obsolete, and trivial. What we would help you do normally is quarantine so that you can prepare to delete, and you can end up deleting that information. We then go after with pattern matching and classification and regulated data. These are the records, your PII, PCI, HIPAA-compliant information. And we can help you, work to remediate that information and put it where it needs to go and in the systems it properly needs to go. And then your high-value stuff, we can look to help you secure that. So this is your intellectual property, your sales and marketing, your patents, things of that nature. We can help you act on that with helping you with security policies and practices to bring that content under control as well. So just a little bit about what it might look like when we get to the technology side of things. Again, we have a set of tools that we leverage to help you do this. So from a high level, you're looking at file share metrics. This would kind of be a view of the high level view of the initial set. And let's say we're looking at both Exchange and we're looking at different areas that are where file shares may be located. In this case, you're seeing us looking at different areas. But how we work with you is really to look at a file share. And you can see the quadrants here are telling you what you have. You're telling you the types of information you have, and based on that type of information, it can break it down into smaller items. Like in this case, it's looking at email, and it's telling you that some items are contacts, some are calendar, some are messaging, etc. From here, you can start to weed out what the chaff is and start and allow yourself to start focusing on the wheat. So you may have a policy. So as we're working through it, you may have policies that say, look, if nobody's touched this stuff in 6 years, 7 years, whatever, we're going to consider a piece of that or all of that or some of that the rot. Okay, this is just a hypothetical. And so what you can do with the technology is you can tell it, let us know when things are being accessed and give us areas, give us a breakdown what's being accessed, what was last accessed, etc. And so with the technology, you can break down, and you see here, you see a component that shows that the highlighted area shows that this is the section of content that's over 7 years old, and you can click in there and you can view what that content is from reporting on that content, etc. Okay. From there, you start to look at your more secure information, right? So we've started to clean it up, we've gotten out our rot, and now we're looking at more high-risk information. So in this case, what you're looking at is a heat map around credit card information. So once we have done the high level, we've gotten the rot out, we've quarantined it, now we're going back, we've done a full text index on what's left, we start really digging in deeper to what we can find in the remaining high value content. In this case, what you're seeing is credit card information in the different areas. And the more red it is, the more you have. Right? So down here you're seeing in the NFS, there's a lot of it that's in word processing, etc. So what you can tell very quickly, very easily as we're working with you is where that secure information is, and then we can start developing mechanisms with you to act on that content, remediate it, etc. So again, some of the outcomes you can do. So this is the automated disposition and quarantine. So some of the things you can do, as we said, when we're going back and dealing with such things as the rot, we would work with you to quarantine that information. We find the stuff we need based on, in this case, based on time frame. We take that information and we work with you to help either move it or work with you to delete it. And what this does is this frees up a lot of storage space in your file share that allows you then to do the hard work on the remaining content. And then from here, you can start remediating policy violations. Again, in this case, we're finding the PCI and PII, and then we can act on it. We can work with you to come up with an action plan for what are we going to do with this information. When we find credit cards in email, we find credit cards in word processing documents in these locations. How are we going to contend with that? We can work with you to develop, additional processes on how we remediate those policy violations and deal with that content for you. So what would we do? What would it look like? We would work with you in a very close manner, of course. We have our team of Integro specialists that would work with you to come up with like a cleanup core group, and that core group would consist of possibly of people from IT and legal, records and security, of course, and the business. We would have an expert senior government program advisor, which we have on staff, that would work with you to help oversee the program management of this deployment. And then we would have consultants that would work with you to help do the actual cleanup, pointing at the systems, configuring the technology, providing back the feedback, etc., and working with you on what action steps to take. So it's cross-functional, and the cross-functional, as with anything in software technology deployment, cross-functional teams are extremely important in working with you to make sure that your needs and your policies are met and that you are a delighted customer. We would end up breaking up this section into, if you want to call it, mini phases, but they're manageable chunks as we go from design all the way to deployment. There's going to be manageable chunks of time that we're working with you, and our project team's working with you to make this pretty seamless for you. And then, we have to make sure when we're working with you that the systems that we're working with, anything that's going to be receiving content as part of the action items, those things are going to need to be ready to go. So those are some of the discussions we have with you initially is, if you have such as a FileNet system, do you have that ready? Can we move content in it? Do you have document classes and configuration ready for this type of content, etc. So. From an expectations setting, the leadership committee really has the smallest piece of this. Their oversight, their review, and they're to make sure that what we're showing them and what type of actions need to happen on that content are happening accurately on the correct type of content that we're bringing forward. The program management is really about half the full time. They're going to be more loaded on the front end, making sure that all the pieces and parts are lined up and ready to go. and then they'll kind of taper off as we move forward. The technical support is going to be there for the duration of the project, and they're going to do really kind of the bulk of the work on the back end. They're with you as far as from the design piece to the configuration to the deployment. They're really the tactical piece of this deployment and working with you. And so when you're working with IQ Insight, this is kind of a high-level project plan of what you can expect. And it's kind of typical of what you see in some IT technical deployments. Basically, it's building a team, handling kickoff, and any hardware that's needed. We procure that on the front end. We'll work with you on the policy and procedure development. We then start our process of indexing and finding the rot and finding the other information. As we're doing that, we'll be going through policy refinement, so we may run several iterations with the content, and then we work with you to act on that content. So what are some of the options? So what you can see here are just, we have worked with several customers. We've done, we've worked with everything from, the whole cleanup, with also with doing just sensitive data cleanup or policy compliance, or just doing it to find business records. So really, there are different options available to you with IQ Insight. We can do high-level indexing, the metadata and content indexing. We can just identify file types or ages or types of content. We can be very specific and granular, finding PCI, PII, then working with you to remediate. We can do items around legal hold, so finding content that needs to be put on legal hold, and we can also work with you on all the classification. So a timing investment summary, basically. If we're looking at different, what you see here is really different sizes of your file shares. And these, of course, are estimates. But if you're dealing with a 10 terabyte system that we're having to work with you on, the cleanup and policy remediation may take 2 months. A full cleanup may take 3 months or longer. Generally, 3 months is probably a good range. And again, it extrapolates to 40 terabytes taking 2.5 months, and 100 terabytes, taking 5 to 7 months if you're doing full cleanup. So what this is once you get the design, et cetera, built, you start the configuration going. The rest of it is really timing around processing that content. So the length of time it's taking is more on the back end than on the front end. So what does Integro provide, and what would you need to provide? Of course, we provide information governance leadership, the technical architects and technical services behind this, the information governance practitioners and the software, also our methodology, and we can provide the project and program management. We would work with you to provide the executive support, the information governance expertise on your side, since you know your company and how your governance program is laid out in that company. So we'd work with your professionals. We'd also want some SMEs from the different functional areas who are familiar with the content they work in their business lines. IT support, of course, and then virtual servers to work with us with some of the technology. To make these fast commitments and fast deadlines, of course, we need fast decisions, especially around remediation and action on content. So we would ask to work with you on making quick decisions around the content. So what is the end result? What you get is deleted or quarantined rot data cleaned out of your organization. Again, rot is really going to be specific to your organization. We could get remediated or regulated data. We would find secure and high business value data and be able to act on that. We would help significantly reduce the volume of content that's needing deeper analysis in your organization so that you can act on it or do something with it, and can help establish policies and governance on the use of the file shares in your organization. Or, working into the future, we could work with you on the possibility of file share replacement if that is a long-term goal. So in working with us at Integro, what do other customers, or what do our customers, in addition to working on something like this with us, what do they work on us with? Of course, we have expertise in email and media management and governance, and actually have our own product sets around that. We handle records management and governance solutions and consulting, email migrations, and also content management migrations as well, content security and behavioral analytics, and as well as content cloud management and collaboration. So these are a lot of things our customers come to us for, and we're more than happy and willing to work with you on. So that is the end of my side of the presentation. So we have about 7 or 8 minutes here to start entertaining some questions. So, Kristen, do we have a question?
Yeah, let's start with some questions that we've received. And guys, if you have questions as we proceed, feel free to ask them in the question box. First question, what options exist for content remediation?
Some of the options for content remediation. So it could be working with you to mask or tokenize the PII in the content. It could be to help you move that content into a more secure location. It could be to help you even get rid of that content if it's met its legal retention period, to get it out the door. So even though it's highly sensitive and secure, it may have met its retention period, and you want to get it through the records management process and out the door. So those are some of the main things you can do with content remediation.
Okay, awesome. While we're answering questions, I'm actually going to launch a polling question for you guys so that we have a question for you as well. The question is from John. He's curious, are you currently involved in reducing file share storage or placing file shares in your organization? Feel free to answer this, and we'll continue having John answer your questions while the poll is up. Second question, can this offering be used as part of a file share replacement project?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Can this offering be used as part of a file share replacement project?
Yes, it can. Actually, it would be used kind of on the front end of a file share replacement project. One thing you want to do before you're migrating content out of file shares into some other new system, whether it's to the cloud, to something like FileNet in the cloud, or Box, or some other platform, you really want to get the system cleaned up. It's the age-old migration key. Get rid of the junk, and let's keep the gold. And so this is a very good first step towards file share replacement. Let's get everything cleaned up. Let's get your rot removed. Let's get control of what you need to keep, and then we can take the next steps into moving towards the file share replacement.
Okay, next question. How much end-user involvement is there with this offering?
If you're talking about end-user employees, there's generally not that much. I mean, it's going to depend on, it's really going to be around the business SME. The type of work we do does not generally go to the very end user. In some cases, if we work with desktops, there may be some limited involvement, but most of the time we're working with IT staff, records management on the back end, so there's really no end user involvement in this.
Okay. And guys, feel free to answer the polling question while it's up. I'll keep it up for a bit more and then share the results. You still have more questions, John. This one was answered privately, but I'll ask you as well so you can answer it so everyone can hear the answer. Will the tool work on Lotus Notes, email, and other Lotus Notes applications, or just email?
Okay, on Notes, email, or other applications?
Within Notes.
Sure.
Hey, John, this is Scott. I'll chime in.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep, sorry.
Email on Notes, no problem, but I don't believe that's the case with custom databases.
Okay, and then another question we have you worked with electric utilities on the generation and transmission side? I'm assuming they mean with this offering.
So we've got a number of electric utilities for various types of projects. This is Scott Bird again. And we have a particular utility that's in the process of evaluating the solution for file share cleanup right now. And they've been involved extensively in some of our focus groups that we've held. And so some, yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, I'm going to share the poll results now. John, would you like to editorialize these results? Can you see them on your screen?
I cannot see them, but hold on one moment, and I'll make sure I can see them.
John, it's 44% with no plans, 31% in process, and a quarter planning for 2017.
Excellent, excellent. So that just kind of goes to show you, if you can see the, I'm sorry that I can't see it on the screen, but it does go to show you that this is becoming a big initiative in organizations. It's becoming very important, especially not just with litigation nowadays, but especially with information security, with all the hacking going on. You're dealing with not just hacking to get after people's personal information or to get after corporate information, but it's really around personal and corporate branding. What we're seeing now is personal and corporate branding issues coming out of hacking, and so this is becoming, this type of initiative, get rid of what we don't need and only keep what we do, is becoming very big in organizations now. So thank you for taking the poll.
Yeah, John, the fact that well over half of the people have a project in process or coming this year is pretty impressive when you consider file shares have been around. Just imagine your first file share that you had access to it, your work was probably the early 1990s, and the file shares have been largely unchanged since then, and so to have this level of activity is pretty telling. We're at a sea change right now with customers with their current plans and future plans with file shares, and especially how to govern that data instead of just give people storage space. It's interesting.
Very much.
So those are the questions we have for you guys at this time. I'm going to just quickly share once more. We do have a Stored IQ user group next week. If you'd like information for that, feel free to email me or join the Stored IQ user group on LinkedIn. It will be about Stored IQ as a long-term solution. And also, we have a quick survey at the end of this webinar. So when you close out, a little screen will pop up, and it's just one question for you to give feedback on how you thought we did today. And with that, I will let you close out and say any final words, John.
Well, again, I think we've stressed the importance of file share cleanup. It's very impressive to see that a lot of you, most of you, are actually getting into that now. And Integro, we are in the business of delighting our customers, and we love working with you. So please let us know how we can help you with these initiatives. Have a great day.